Male preference primogeniture. Primogeniture is the principle that the firstborn inherits, and male preference primogeniture was for centuries the dominant form of royal succession across Europe. Under this system, the crown passes to the monarch's eldest son and to his line after him before any daughter is considered. A daughter can inherit the throne, but only if she has no living brothers and no brothers who left descendants. This is why queens such as Elizabeth I, Victoria, and Elizabeth II were able to reign. Each came to the throne because she had no brother to take precedence. The system was designed to keep the succession clear and undivided, while strongly favoring male heirs, reflecting the patriarchal assumptions of the societies that produced it. It remained the standard rule in Britain and much of Europe until reforms in the modern era. Salic Law. Salic law is the strictest form of male succession, under which the crown passes only through the male line and women are barred not only from inheriting, but even from passing a claim to their sons. It takes its name from the ancient law code of the Salian Franks. The most famous consequence of Salic law came in France, where it was invoked to exclude women entirely from the throne. When the direct male line of the French kings failed in the 14th century, the English king Edward III claimed the crown of France through his mother. The French rejected the claim on the grounds that no right could pass through a woman, and this dispute became one of the sparks of the 100 Years' War. Under true Salic law, a female simply cannot be a channel of royal inheritance at all. Semi-Salic Law. Semi-Salic law is a compromise between strict male succession and the full inclusion of women, allowing females to inherit the throne only after every male line of the dynasty has become completely extinct. As long as any man descended in the male line from the royal house survives, he takes precedence over every woman, no matter how distant his relationship to the last monarch. Only when the male line has entirely died out may the succession pass to a woman or through a female line, and even then it typically passes to the nearest female relative of the last king. This system was adopted in a number of German states, in the Austrian Empire, and in Imperial Russia. It kept the crown in male hands for as long as biologically possible while providing a fallback to prevent the dynasty from failing altogether. Absolute primogeniture. Absolute primogeniture, also called equal primogeniture, is the modern reform under which the eldest child inherits the throne, regardless of whether that child is a son or a daughter. Sex no longer confers any advantage, so an elder sister now takes precedence over a younger brother, exactly as an elder brother would over a younger one. Sweden was the first monarchy to adopt the system. In 1980, a change that immediately moved the king's young daughter ahead of her baby brother in the line of succession. Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, Denmark, and the United Kingdom followed over the following decades, with Britain changing its rules in 2013. The reform reflects modern principles of gender equality, bringing the ancient institution of hereditary monarchy into line with contemporary values, while preserving the underlying idea of inheritance by the firstborn. Proximity of blood. Proximity of blood is a principle that competed with primogeniture throughout the Middle Ages, holding that the throne should pass to whoever is most closely related by blood to the last monarch, rather than to whoever stands first in a strict line of descent. The two principles often produce different heirs. Primogeniture can favor the distant descendant of an elder branch, while proximity favors a nearer relative from a younger branch, such as a surviving brother or uncle over a great-grandson. The clash between the two lay at the heart of many succession disputes. In the contest for the Scottish crown at the end of the 13th century, one claimant argued for his right by proximity of blood, while his rival argued the seniority of his line, a disagreement so bitter that it helped plunge Scotland into war. Ultimogeniture. Ultimogeniture reverses the logic of primogeniture by giving the inheritance to the youngest child rather than the eldest. The reasoning behind it is practical. In many societies, the older sons come of age during their father's lifetime, receive their share, and leave to establish households of their own, while the youngest remains at home to care for the parents and is left to inherit the family hearth when they die. Among the Mongols, this principle shaped the ruling house. The youngest son was known as the Prince of the Hearth and inherited the original homeland, so that the youngest son of Genghis Khan received the Mongol heartland, while his elder brothers were given far-flung, conquered territories to rule. Forms of ultimogeniture also appeared in local inheritance customs across parts of medieval England and elsewhere. Agnatic Seniority. Agnatic Seniority passes the throne not from father to son, but along a generation of brothers before it descends to the next generation. When the monarch dies, the crown goes to his next eldest brother, and only once all the brothers of one generation have reigned and died does it pass to the eldest son of the eldest brother. The great advantage of the system is that it keeps experienced adult men on the throne and avoids the dangers of a child ruler. It governed the succession in a number of early medieval realms, and a version of it organized the princes of early Russia, who rotated through the cities of their domain by seniority. In the modern world, it is most visible in Saudi Arabia, where the crown has passed among the sons of the kingdom's founder, brother succeeding brother, for decades. Tanistry. Tanistry was the succession system of the Gaelic world of Ireland and Scotland, and it broke completely with the idea of automatic inheritance by birth order. During a chief or king's own lifetime, a successor was chosen from among the wider royal kindred, all those descended from a common great-grandfather, and the man selected was given the title of Tanist, meaning the second or the expected one. The choice fell on whichever eligible adult male was judged most capable of ruling and leading in war, rather than simply the eldest son. The system aimed to guarantee a strong grown successor ready to take power the moment the ruler died. Its weakness was that it set rival branches of the family against one another, and the competition for the position of Tanist frequently erupted into feud and bloodshed. Partible Inheritance. Partible inheritance is the opposite of primogeniture, dividing a realm among all of a ruler's heirs, rather than passing it intact to a single one. Under this system, a kingdom was treated much like any other property, to be split into shares among the sons on their father's death. The Frankish kingdoms of early medieval Europe followed this custom repeatedly, and it had dramatic consequences. The vast empire assembled by Charlemagne was divided among his grandsons by a famous treaty in the 9th century, splitting the heart of Europe into Western, Eastern, and Middle kingdoms, whose borders echo in the map of the continent to this day, because partible inheritance tended to fragment strong kingdoms into ever smaller and weaker pieces. Primogeniture gradually replaced it, precisely in order to keep realms whole and undivided across the generations. Succession by marriage. Succession by marriage, known by the Latin phrase jure uxoris, meaning by right of his wife, allowed a man to become king through marriage to a reigning queen or a royal heiress, ruling in her right rather than his own. When a woman inherited a throne, her husband might be granted the title and powers of king for the duration of the marriage, so that the crown was in effect exercised jointly or even dominated by the incoming husband. Philip II of Spain became King of England in this way through his marriage to Queen Mary I, holding the title only so long as she lived. Similar arrangements united crowns and shaped dynasties across Europe, and the fear that a queen's foreign husband might seize control of the kingdom made the marriages of ruling queens matters of the highest political consequence. Elective Monarchy. Elective monarchy abandons heredity altogether at the moment of succession, choosing each new monarch through a formal vote by a defined body of electors. The most famous example was the Holy Roman Empire, where a small college of the greatest princes of Germany gathered to elect each emperor. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth went further, allowing its entire nobility to elect the king, a system that produced weak rulers and paralyzing disputes. The papacy is an elective monarchy still, with the pope chosen by the College of Cardinals. Elective monarchy survives in the modern world in unusual forms. In Malaysia, the throne rotates among the hereditary rulers of 9 states, who elect one of their number as king every 5 years, and in the United Arab Emirates, a council of rulers selects the federation's president from among themselves. Designation and Adoption. Designation and adoption allowed a reigning monarch to choose his own successor directly, naming an heir who might have no blood claim to the throne at all, and, in the most striking version, formally adopting that person as his son. The classic example comes from the Roman Empire during the era remembered as its happiest, when a succession of emperors each adopted a capable and experienced man as heir, rather than relying on the accident of birth. For most of a century, the empire passed from one adopted successor to the next, and the practice was credited with producing a run of unusually able rulers. The system ended when one of these emperors broke with it to hand the throne to his own natural son, whose disastrous reign seemed to confirm the wisdom of choosing an heir by merit rather than by blood. Matrilineal succession. Matrilineal succession traces the royal line through women rather than men, and in its most distinctive form, the throne passes not from a king to his own son, but from a king to his sister's son. The logic is rooted in certainty of descent. A man's biological children can be doubted, but the children of his sister share his bloodline beyond question. So the throne is kept within the maternal line. Several African kingdoms followed this pattern, including the Ashanti, whose ruler was chosen from the royal Matrilineal and succeeded through the female line. A comparable system governed the royal house of Travancore in southern India, where the crown descended through the king's sisters to their sons. To societies accustomed to father-to-son inheritance, the arrangement seems startling, yet it offered a powerful guarantee of the legitimacy of every heir. Ottoman open succession. Ottoman open succession was among the most ruthless systems the institution of monarchy ever produced. The Ottomans practiced no primogeniture and set no order of birth, so every son of the Sultan was in principle an equal candidate for the throne. Each was sent to govern a province and to build a following. And when the Sultan died, his sons competed for the crown, the victory of the strongest treated as a sign of divine favor for the fittest to rule. To secure his throne, the winner then had his brothers and their sons put to death, a law of fratricide formally sanctioned to prevent civil war, carried out by strangulation with a silken bowstring so that no royal blood was spilled. On one notorious occasion, a new sultan had 19 brothers executed at once. Only in the 17th century was the practice softened, as princes came to be confined to a guarded chamber of the palace, known as the cage, rather than killed, and the throne passed instead to the eldest surviving male of the house. Thanks for watching. Which succession system do you think actually works best, and which one is a recipe for disaster? Let me know your thoughts down below. Also, please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.